Good call.
In addition, I will warn you and any other boom-bearing individuals that the vaccine does in fact increase one's cycle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
I noticed that after having it done, but I did not realize it was an actual side effect until like 3 weeks later.
Well, considering all of the bicycle exercises you had just done, I don't know about me having to face it. So perhaps I will reconsider vaccinating.
No.
On the grounds of puns about cycling. It was a callback, but it wasn't well executed. Let's just move on with our lives and pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
No, yes, do that. Did Joe Rogan say not to? Don't listen to Joe. Who's still listening to Joe Rogan? He's the most listened to man in the world, but I don't think they know what he says. I think they just like his voice.
Who the hell is Joe Rogan?
Well done, Miriam. Well done.
So, speaking of right-wing talky peoples, have you guys seen the picture of Ben Shapiro holding the Home Depot board? I think that's the first time he's ever held a board in his life.
I would just like stop. I would stop all of that stuff. He doesn't need to do any of it. He doesn't need to comment on music he doesn't understand, or female anatomy he doesn't understand, or tweet himself standing in a Home Depot parking lot after shopping. Why does he do any of this? Just stop. Stop. Just quit. You've got money, you've got exposure, you've got backing. Stop. Don't fuck it up. Don't just quit taking all these unnecessary risks.
I like to think that he cut out the parts of him shopping in the Home Depot because people kept on trying to put him on the shelves with the other tools.
That's a good line. Did you steal that?
No, I came up with that and I'm proud of it.
Well done. That's good.
I mean, a Shapiro does sound like it might be a power tool.
It does, doesn't it? A Shapiro? You're going to go down to the hardware store and get a Shapiro. Little did you know that it was a Jewish conservative.
Anyone can steal that line. It's a good line.
Yeah.
Please take it and run with it.
Yeah, that's good. That shows us the other tool is brilliant. That's good stuff. Okay, you and Pebbles are going to visit the professor. All right. You make your way to the airlock, and when you get there, there is a blue light that says vacant. So here's the thing. You're the pilot, and the koi is no longer docked here. Now, it's not to say Traxagor can't fly the koi. He can't fly the koi as well as he thinks he can, from your experience. There's a reason you drive him around. He
has an AI.
Yes, he has an AI.
More than I trust him with driving the car.
The thing is, his AI is sublinked to the node. So if the AI is in control of the device, actually, that's another issue. It could be possible for him to have his AI fly the ship in a way that lies to the node about where they are or whatever. But in order to do that, he'd probably need Charles, who he also does not have.
Yeah.
So he's either doing computer shit without a computer technician, or flying the ship himself without a pilot.
Does my slate connect up? Can I my slate connect up to Bubba? Anyway.
Normally you can, but right now, the link is not in range, which, I mean, sometimes if you're docked on a station, inside the station is out of range because of whatever armaments the station has, and this was built for war, right? So that might not have seemed strange until just now.
I go up all the way to the edge of most likely ability for it to connect.
You go into the decompression chamber?
Yeah.
All right. The station tries to initiate decompression, and it can't because it doesn't have a place for you to go. So it doesn't know what procedures to initiate. And Pebbles comes in here to make sure that you're clean and doesn't want you to contaminate anything.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
And I went my arm late, like all of those memes about trying to find the cell phone connection.
Yeah, he's fucking what?
Where's the service? Where is it?
Your slate does not seem to be able to reach Bubbles.
That is not ideal. I turn back to Pebbles and satisfy.
You turn back to Pebbles and what?
And do what is necessary for Pebbles to be satisfied with my cleanliness.
All right, yeah, just pick stuff off just to make sure.
Yeah. And then my first stop is to stop at the door and not go into the room. But stop at the door of the smelting arena. I don't know what it's called. And inform neurotic sandwich that is it thoughtful? I think it's thoughtful.
Yeah, thoughtful sandwich.
Inform him that there will be a few more guests than is necessary for an extended period of time, and as well a few less guests than believed and expected. And then I go about my way.
Yeah, thoughtful sandwich is extremely displeased to hear that there are more people. And lies about it. Oh gosh, that'll be nice. Maybe we'll play games or something.
I'm sure he is quite pleased to hear that there are in fact also less people than were expected.
I'm not considering throwing up at all.
Just run at him full speed and see what he does.
No. Oh man. I then proceed to knock on the door of
This
the
is
captain.
not terribly readable. You knock on the door. There is no response. Pebbles floats up there and tries to get your fingerprints off the damn door. What's wrong with you?
Why would my fingerprints be on the door if I knocked them?
You're like rubbing your knuckles on stuff, and it's like the captain's thing, and like a commanding officer would be in there, and the robot apparently needs that door to stay clean. To a degree that's almost funny.
Hey, Diesel Shroud is reading us.
Ah.
Woo! In response to that, in response to Pebbles seeing the door, I tuck my hand into my sleeve and use that to knock again.
All right, Pebbles seems a lot less dismayed by that, or at least a lot less what's the right word to use here? Engaged. But it doesn't sound as satisfying.
Yeah.
The door is probably fucking mahogany.
Yeah. I will continue to stand here and knock at irregular intervals until someone responds.
Another drone comes over to make sure that the door is not damaged.
You can move on to another party.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. All right, I just guessed again. Hooray, it's deck 3. Okay. So Darwin finally comes in here for his cup of self-righteous Earl Grey, even though it's an evening tea. He apparently, despite his education, does not know that.
I asked him if he wants any coffee or if he would like me to make tea or whatever.
Don't be ridiculous. I would never drink that swill, he says, drinking his own swill, which is surprisingly cheap. Supposedly Earl Grey, but is in no way. It's Earl Grey adjacent in an artificial sort of way. It comes out of a container that is labeled Earl Grey in parentheses tea-like substance, and he just levels blue powder into white water with a spoon, which turns into a sort of grayish-brown affair.
I have a world-building question. Do Mirai like green tea?
I mean,
I believe the Mirai are carnivorous like most frogs.
Are those cows?
What? Are you referring to my random emoji?
My contacts were coming loose as I was looking at it, so it looked particularly strange.
No,
Ignore me.
no, he is a man.
Queenie says Mirai may or may not like green tea. It's probably a
They very
individual
well may
thing.
like it.
Green tea. Okay, that's good to know.
Fungal potatoes. Okay, if they eat potatoes, then I'm gonna say it's a high level probability, because green tea is like, there's not a lot that goes well with green tea that is not adjacent to roots of some kind.
I like fungus and potatoes.
Beverage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Eating other earthy flavored things makes that better.
I'm a big fan of both of those things.
Yes. Yes. Tubers.
Yes, I also agree. Tubers are amazing.
Yeah.
Says the people from Idaho.
Well,
Yeah.
perhaps that's not fair.
Yeah, no kidding.
That is a point. I should have.
Typical response for us to have.
Yes, correct. You are correct. Okay. Yeah, not exactly Earl Grey. And pompously drinking it regardless. She should probably go somewhere, which means that she should show up on the floor she's working on. Why am I moving you? You stay where you are. Silly players.
I have a question real quick. Interrupting. I would like my character to be the sort that will try most drinks and will drink them socially, but if they are drinking what is the equivalent of other people drinking coffee, I want them to subsist on space equivalent of 5-hour energy.
I mean, that's here. But Darwin does seem to have a different outlook on the way that things work. Like, the way that you think about things is that things are managed by a society that works in cooperation, right? But Darwin is a different he's a different kettle of fish. In his kettle, there are a lot of fish that belong specifically to him because of rights of possession ownership, which is something that human cultures had for a long time. Although the way that it worked with dirt got very strange and hard to explain, especially to a Mirai or to a Thread. Well, I mean, a Mirai might in a certain way, because they'd understand that a hive has a zone that it operates in. But if you tried to explain to a Thread that somebody owned a certain amount of dirt, it's going to get real weird.
The Mirai are, in fact, highly territorial, but you'd have to remind them that that individual humans are queens.
I like to imagine that Thren's property ownership looks a bit like, this is my bedroom. So, like, you have your own house, your bedroom, but, like, your mom has the right to walk into your room and you just don't really get to say shit because, you know, you live under her house. But at the same time, regularly, your sisters will walk into your room and steal your clothes so they can wear them because they look great on them. Likewise, because you do that, you return the favor.
That is...
So I imagine there's an awful lot of borrowing.
Only if
that is a nightmare scenario for Mirai. If your sister walks in and borrows your carapace.
I mean, you know.
That's weird.
That's like their version of the boogeyman.
Yeah. Well,
There's
I mean, like, as an individual who has masters, both step and biological and in-law,
yeah.
I
think that's what I was gonna say. I think you might be. I think you might be projecting a little there, but it's not to say that it's impossible.
I wear my brother's clothes regularly.
Don't talk to me about. Well, I mean, it's fine. Your brother borrowing your clothes might be a little more difficult to explain in a Mormon household, but
only ever borrows people's leggings.
Okay. There we go. That's happened. Anyway, my point was that it's not impossible, given the stretch of Thren space and our knowledge about their, what's the word I want to use here? Cultural flexibility, that you might have been somewhere where something like that would happen, but it's also worth noting that that would probably have been a very affluent part of their space, probably closer to the home world. So out here, you are very, very much a fish out of water, although that might explain why you keep literally walking into Charles.
Yeah.
You're used to higher population density areas.
Yeah.
Personal space is different.
Oh man, it's always funny to me when people who haven't worked in food trucks accidentally bump into someone who has worked in food trucks. Because when you work at a food truck, you get over people bumping into you really fast.
Well, there's nowhere to go in a food truck. It's a claustrophobic sort of work atmosphere.
What are you gonna do? You know? And so, as someone who's anytime someone bumps into me, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I get so confused.
Cuddling in hive bunks also prevents like body heat loss. Are they warm-blooded? They're big enough to be. I don't know how that would work with a insectoid, but
probably. I imagine. See, based on both the drawings and their nature, they seem to be very segmented, which means that that's important for the bulkier parts of their bodies, and the slimmer parts of their bodies. It's not as much.
well, insects can't necessarily control body heat. So one of the things that they do when it gets cold is the hive like masses so that the things that are most expendable are on the outside and the queen is at the core, and they all like pack together in order to help the queen. One of the questions about whether or not Africanized bees were going to be an issue was whether or not they had exhibited this behavior, because in cold temperatures, if they didn't do that, they weren't going to spread too far north.
But fuck us, I guess.
Well, I haven't heard anything about the murder since that meme started.
No, the murder hornets were from Asia. The African bees are different.
Yeah. We have African bees over here and murder hornets over here, and the Japanese beetles, which is its own thing entirely.
But I will note that most insects do not have two skeletons, so
Well, nor are they fucking 5 to 8 feet tall or whatever. So
indeed. So who knows? But we will cover it because we're very.
I like to imagine you're a bit like turtle.
yeah, hives are very warm places. Just a whole bunch of bodies. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. So yeah, you guys, it's not weird. Two guys cuddling all night. It's not weird. Don't make it weird.
No.
It's perfectly normal if you're bugs.
You're the only one's gonna be making that weird.
Yeah. Charles would definitely be making it weird, but he does not know that. He thinks that it being weird is
Turtles
normal.
have internal and external bones. Are they like turtles?
Yeah.
I imagine they're basically like turtles.
Yeah, we were talking about that. They're like
There you
turtles.
go.
They got both. It's actually super neat. So many coffee grounds. I'm gonna.
We just call them insects because they look like insects
Well-
to the untrained human eye.
They're insectoid in that is their root and what their DNA is probably closest to. Like we're 98% chimp. We don't look an awful lot like a macaque, but that's like 70% of our DNA is almost identical, right? So we're definitely simian primates, but we do not look or behave much like most things on this planet.
So Lampe, not to get distracted with the game we're supposedly playing, but
Mhm.
while I'm drinking coffee, I actually put in orders for the ice cream ingredients that I can, and maybe some extra that don't necessarily go in Rocky Road to try some things out, like the vanilla and maybe some green tea and some wasabi.
Well,
Ranch.
a lot of that stuff is real easy. The again, the cocoa powder and the marshmallows, not so much.
But we determined that instant
instant cocoa packets with marshmallows is your best and easiest bet.
Yeah.
You do not have luxury tickets on your person. The system that the mother system requires uses them. You have none. You don't have any premium currency, right? That's your issue. You don't have premium currency. You have back currency actually for having been shipped here, but none of it is luxury tokens. You don't have luxury tickets. You can't. You would have to find a way to get your hands on them.
Credits, because that sounds much more logical based on.
No, because okay, there's a number of reasons why we probably wouldn't call them credits. The first is that that's probably what what I've been thinking of as the Directorate of Man was using whenever possible, which is like the ultimate overall corporations printing their own cryptocurrency form of money, and you would just be referring to those as credits, and that would have been the driving force of the Federation of human star Nazis that got their shit pushed in. So they're definitely not calling it that.
It's probably called debit.
Well, those are all references to debt. Luxury.
Got it. Let me make my accounting joke, mother.
If you had gotten your accounting education in the USSR in 1981. Anyway, so here we are. You have hit a wall on cocoa powder, at least as far as needing premium currency.
Does Charles have premium currency since he's still in here?
He just looks at you, and then he opens his jacket to show you his dangling cables, and then closes it again.
Ah, implying that he spent them all on all sorts of cables.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has luxury cables. That's the sort of man you're dealing with.
It looks like I'm going to be having to actually ask Carla, which is a pity, because I wanted to surprise her.
Well, why would Carla be the one you'd have to ask?
Well, I'm making her the Rocky Road stuff. Though, no, the Thrin in my party is a poor college student. I doubt they have luxury tokens. Unless the place as a whole has luxury
I know
tokens.
how to make things taste like chocolate. There is, I believe it is the tomato soup cake from 1915. Tastes like chocolate.
Yeah.
So if we can distill that.
You know how else you can make something that tastes like chocolate? Captain Morgan's specifically with Mountain Dew, 1-to-7 ratio.
Yeah.
And unless you drink a lot of rum and dew, it tastes like chocolate.
Good old-fashioned rum, chocolate cake. It was a lemon chaser cocktail. You would just shoot the cocktail, then put the lemon in your mouth, and then the taste was basically a German chocolate cake.
Tomato soup.
Tomato soup should be easy to do. I mean, it's not actually tomato soup, but it's comparable.
Yeah.
It's a substance not entirely unlike tomato soup.
Would my character know how to make Rocky Road ice cream incorporating tomato soup? I don't think so.
No, but I would like to use my madness to facilitate that. Once we get together, we'll
Yeah,
discuss this, but
stop
I'm
metagaming,
still
you
the captain.
peculiar tomato soup is in some way equal to chocolate wackadoo. Okay, instead of that, what happens? You hit a snag using your device at the breakfast table, and by breakfast table I mean, well, it's not a coffee table.
Well, I placed the order for everything else because if all else fails, I can make just ice cream.
Yeah.
I probably order some vanilla extract if I can. I'm not sure if that's luxury.
Artificial vanilla extract is like fine. You could bathe in this stuff.
Yeah.
It's actual vanilla that's luxury, and it's currently a luxury. So
Damn it, COVID.
And also I eat some actual food to go with my coffee
All right.
/ tea, whatever the fuck I'm drinking.
You have all the soybeans you can eat.
Sweet. Be better if they were tubers. Anyway, should I learn to make soy sauce?
After a while of drinking the coffee, well, the stuff with coffee in it, Charles wanders over to CP and goes, "Hey, are you about ready?"
For orientation?
Huh? He says, looking over at you. I mean, sure, I guess that might be the easiest way to do things. Is there any official thing for that? He asks.
I have no fucking clue, man.
Yeah, Viva La Tubers.
As far as I can tell, they dropped us in this building and have not told us shit,
Hey, Darwin,
which is probably a bad sign.
he says. And then Dr. Mossberger goes, wait, what? Huh? Like, confused and surprised for a moment, as though out of a reverie. And he says, so, what did you do when you started here? And he says, what do you mean, what did I do when I started here? I started researching. No, I mean for orientation or whatever. Or whatever, he says.
How did you get your computer credentials?
What? He seems perplexed by the whole thing, like he's been suddenly surprised by a bunch of clowns climbing out of a small car. And Charles looks at you like, what did we say? Like he's trying to make sure his fly's not down.
Right? You can log into the computers, right, Doctor?
Of course I can, he says, as though you were questioning his competence.
Okay, cool.
I have a PhD, for Christ's sake, whoever that is.
How did you get your password?
He looks around for a moment and says, well, originally it was given to me.
By whom?
I changed it over the years. Why are you asking me these questions? Charles is like, are you okay? And Dr. Mossberger says, I'm through with this. If I were to be interrogated, I would go to the Trinity authorities myself. And he walks away in a huff. Charles looks back at you and says, what just happened?
I think we might be on the sketchiest space station in the universe.
You know, if I hadn't just gotten off of the sketchiest ship in space, flown by or owned by the sketchiest professor I've ever encountered, I would say that you were on the wrong track. You know what? I'm going to get his computer credentials. I am tired of this. I have had my coffee and I am ready to go. Are you guys coming?
Make sure to eat some real food.
What? He says, confused.
Grab a protein bar.
Sure, whatever. One of these. What the hell is fucking granola? Sounds like it's from the Dark Ages.
I received the gift of a flower.
You said people differs as she shoved a flower into her camera. I don't know where I live.
Because my sister walked in and gave me a flower.
Our show is amazing. No one could have planned this. Okay.
We are so ADD at the moment.
Viva the tubers.
Sorry guys for being so ADD.
Okay.
She said I am so beautiful as she saw my talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Is what a Throne space station?
No, this
The
was
flower?
the flower is a huge.
Oh.
Yeah. Compare it to the art for sure.
I mean,
That is what it looks like, huh?
I love it. You have your own space station,
Yeah.
Miriam.
The bits curling around the outside and the bits curling up toward the inside. It looks an awful lot like. All right.
So, Curiosity Passion, do you think the Thren's going to figure out orientation? Or should we try to track things down?
Charles said he's going to get computer passwords, so I'm going with him.
Alright, cool. Try to get me mine?
Yep.
Are you not coming?
Well, I mean, I can.
Oh,
or I can go in here and try to figure out how to make an ice cream machine.
Before,
All right, you make the ice cream machine. I'll figure it out.
I want to share before we go, share with them during all the notes I made on my tablet throughout the night.
Yeah. I will read through them
So
while I'm
I'll
making
just
an ice cream
send
machine.
you the file and then run back to Charles.
Yeah.
There's like really crude and very biased dossiers on every person we've met, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I read through them. And I like add notes about how
Is that
super
how you
special
say
everything
that
is.
word?
What?
I always thought they were dossiers.
Dossiers?
No, I don't
It's
know.
it's French. You always surrender halfway through the word.
All right, 1 second. Let me look it up.
It's dossier. Believe me.
There's 2 S's, which I did not know. So yeah.
Yeah, dossier.
Folder just means folder. Dossier. It's dossier.
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 Yeah, dossier. It just means folder. That's so dumb. I love it.
I'm too fancy to call this folder a folder, so it's a dossier.
Right?
Yeah, I'm kind of mad too.
You know that's all William the Conqueror's fault, right?
Oh
this is all
yes,
William
we
the
can.
Conqueror's
Yeah,
fault.
we're gonna go over William the fucking Conqueror and making half of English French again. All that Latin shit, so that we can claim it's not French, even though it's a lie.
Well, okay, so the thing is, William the Conqueror was French.
Yes.
I mean, he was Northern. He was
yes.
French. So
Yep.
the upper classes were French, so all of our fancy words are French. And the lower classes were Anglo-Saxon, so all of our plain words that aren't fancy are German.
Well,
German descended.
yeah. Well, except Germany wasn't a place until 300 years after that.
Germanic, whatever.
800 years after that. Fucking Jesus.
Germany
is so
Germany.
new.
Chat.
Hmm?
Are you reading the chat?
She left you a gift in there.
I have a gift?
Yeah, Queenie's left you a gift.
Oh,
It's a tile for an ice cream maker.
beautiful! How do I see it?
Aww.
Download. Yes.
No, he's still upstairs. No, he did leave in a huff, so he's probably down here to station.
Oh. Copy.
Is this everybody?
Discord.
No, it is not everybody. You need to join us.
There. I have put it in Discord.
Okay, so cute.
Did I put 2 of you on the map layer? If you're on the map layer, I'm gonna be real mad. Get off the map layer. Here, let's go over here.
For the record, Lampe, I'm also like kind of sort of organizing this junk pile so that I can more easily access parts that I might need to use in the future to avoid silly bullshit.
It's organized. It's just not organized in a way anybody understands. And you realize that because everything that is in a pile of in one area is the same as the stuff that's piled in another area. There just doesn't seem to be any, like, what is it, alphabetical? And if so, what are these fucking chunks of metal called? You know what I'm saying? But the robot knows what they are and where they belong. And if you fuck with them, the robot will probably eventually put them back. Robots. There's loads of them. Yeah, but like, why is that where you are?
remember that. It took me a minute, but after I saw the picture, I remembered that. Yeah.
That means I'm
remember
gonna have to
that
hide my ice cream machine in the fridge.
I do remember the jokes about the ice cream.
Yeah, you do need to find a way to hide the ice cream machine. Because it'll be like, ice cream machine, I don't have a designation for this. Into the fucking furnace you go. You don't actually know if it'll do that, but, I mean, if you were on a sketchy space station, what would you do? I would definitely program the robots to throw weird shit into the furnace just in case.
I make sure that the ice cream machine can fit inside the fridge.
All right, roll me a engineered ice cream check. Roll engineered
Mechanics?
ice cream machine. Well, you have to design it first. Mechanics implies it already exists.
That would be
Systems?
scrutiny. No, I think that'd be scrutiny.
Well, scrutiny is not.
I feel like it would be systems. Because I'm making systems. It's a system.
Yeah, you're right. It is a system.
Yes. Yeah, generally, if something is so weird we're not sure what we should do with it, we should probably call it a systems check. Because that's the one that's squirrely. You,
Stop being confused and just accept the meme.
you have a twist.
Queenie has confirmed that it is a systems check.
Yes, we are all in 100% 120% agreement. You have a twist on that, which means that you can design it with size in mind, and even shape if you'd like. You want it to be a cube? Do you need it to be a cube? It can be a cube. It could be a sphere. I don't recommend that. It'll roll away. That's
Well,
really
it's probably more convenient still being a cylinder, or at least vaguely cylinder. It could be cone-ish.
Well, I'm not an
right?
engineer. You tell me. You have a twist. Use it.
Look, the flat bottom is good.
Yeah, exactly.
It just needs to
Okay,
make sure it can fit on the fit inside a fridge with maybe making a shelf taller than it should be.
I'm pretty sure a trapezoidal cylinder is the best method because when the top is tapered outwards, it means that there is more space for the heat to dissipate away, and so it retains more cold. It cycles out more heat.
Yeah, well,
I'm probably wrong, but
yeah, pretend I said something really obnoxious about me not wanting an accountant to design an ice cream machine that's totally inappropriate. Because I don't have time for that. Instead, you go onto the ground level. Charles immediately takes a position at one of the stations. He pulls out a red box, turns on. Well, I mean, we know what it is. It looks like a VCR cassette, is what it looks like. It is this bizarre thing with tape on, with a kind of weird electromagnetic tape system on the inside. He sets it on top of. It's just like a rectangle with that. Sets it on top of the computer, turns the computer on, pulls out some of his cables, pulls up the surface on it, which like slides back, and there's an incredibly satisfying slippery metal on metal sound when he does it, which is just sexy as hell. And then he plugs two of the of his fucking luxury ass cables in there. They're gold tipped. You don't actually need gold tipped cables. You just don't. Anyway, he plugs those in and then slides his fingers along the length like he's doing some kind of circus trick, which I'm sure makes him feel really cool. And you know what? Now that I think about that, Master Andretti is watching that like, holy shit. But they're the only two people that would find this anything but annoying to witness. And then he plugs those into the computer, and the screen goes green, and then there's blue symbols on it, and then red symbols.
That sounds bad.
And then,
not that I'm there.
Yeah, he connects his slate to the little red box and starts typing on the slate. Miriam, you are waiting at a door. No one is coming.
yes, I am waiting at a door. Give me 1 second.
At one point, Dr. Mossberger wandered through and into his workstation.
Yes, I like I said, until I response, I'm gonna continue knocking at the door. At intentionally irregular patterns.
It's probably obnoxious.
I mean, it would be if anybody could hear. The only people who can hear are the robots. And that's a very, very peculiar use of people. Oh, I thought you were on screen. You are not on screen. You are over here. Making
Sorry, what did you say?
I said no one seems to be able to hear you.
Oh, that's because I muted myself because it came into.
No. I meant Tamarwa cannot. There doesn't seem anybody here.
At the door. Yeah, no one is paying attention. That is not going to stop. That's not going to stop him.
All right.
Keep knocking at the
He sets up a tent and gets ready to live there.
yeah, basically.
So you wander in there, and after a while, the computer starts making various coolant noise sounds, and Charles goes, "Come on." The red letters are just like whoosh across the screen. He's just waiting.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Carla.
She turns around from her workstation. There's a diagram that you realize is supposed to imply that it is a 6-dimensional diagram, but because it's on a 2-dimensional screen, it is not. But there's some math on the outside that is indicative of that.
How do I use computer?
She says, "What?"
Is there login information, passwords?
She sort of cocks her head. Did you not receive any?
No.
I am gonna think for a second and say, should I have received them?
She says, "Well, I did before I got here." And she turns and looks at Charles' screen and says, "It looks like he'll have you some login credentials pretty soon, or at least some for himself."
I mean, we're just filling the spots of the people that had these positions before. Do we need their information?
The doctor leans back on his crab stool and says, "You realize you can get into a lot of trouble for that." And Van Pelt says, "You know, I could have gotten in trouble for any number of things that have happened already, but I'm not the one who's been doing them up until now. So I thought maybe I'd just try and fit in." And the stool falls flat, and Mossberg gets a very almost self-satisfied look on his face. And he just kind of slowly nods as if to say, "No, yeah, that's true." But he doesn't admit it out loud. There's something about everybody in this room that has a serious vibe of, we did something, and that is why we are here. And whatever it was, we should probably not have done it.
Is my camera sticky again?
A little bit, yeah.
Whereas the thing that Charles did to get here was come here. And that was his mistake.
Yeah, I think I broke you there. Well, he might be doing it right now. Although, considering he even has that stuff, that would seem to indicate. All right, here we go. These are login credentials, and he hands you a card, and he says, "It's going to need bio data, so go ahead and, I don't know, do whatever it is that you do with the edge right there. We usually have a thing that pricks the thumb, and then touch it to that. I don't know what Mirai do." And he hands you a data card. The data card is like a really fucking old school way to handle shit, by the way.
Yeah, I'm looking at my pad and then at the data card, and I'm like,
It's just like,
and then I excrete on it, and then
Do you get me, mine?
yes, I am reminded about Enduring Appreciation's login credentials.
Carla's like, "You just have blank data cards on your person?" And he was like, "I found them."
Can I have? May I take Enduring Appreciation's data card? And
Don't.
give it to her when she shows up.
"Don't touch anything to the red rectangle," he says as he hands you the card.
I take that word to mean importance.
Don't
touch anything to the red rectangle.
So the way that the chip works is like you're supposed to have some kind of bio data, and he's talking about a DNA sample, right? So he would prick his thumb on a machine that goes like when you're doing diabetes stuff, and then touch the tip of your finger to the device, and it would just like poke a hole in a capillary, and it would leave enough of a trace of your DNA on the device that it would recognize your DNA if you were doing a DNA scan. But it scans the card instead of the person. But a lot of tech doesn't use that anymore. This is like a lot of emergency bypasses will still use this kind of technology. It's very old fashioned. But
it seems a lot more secure.
Yeah, you can't fake your DNA. Of course, Charles just said this is the DNA of Curiosity Passion, person who is authorized to be here 0009, and then whatever DNA is on that card is apparently the correct DNA because he programmed you into the system himself, right? So, yeah, sure, more secure.
I am going to just ignore all the implications of what happened and gleefully run over to a computer and start just looking at whatever I can and researching whatever I can.
Right. You put in the information that is printed on the card and like do. Thank you for your time. Like, comment, subscribe, and share.